Up next, we're going from one aviator to another. He was the former commander and senior aviation advisor for the Joint Aviation Command, specifically responsible for the combat readiness and execution of all aviation missions and training for the UAE forces. He has 30 years of aviation experience with presidential and executive level management and worldwide operational experiences as a special operations aviation officer and a combat pilot. Please welcome up to the stage His Excellency Major General Staff Pilot Stephen A. Toumajan, Ph.D., General Manager of the National Search and Rescue Center.
Wow, it's a mouthful there. Thank you, Your Highness.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Can anybody take a wild guess what my first question is going to be? How you doing, sir? How you doing? Good. How you doing, sir? Positive. I like that one. How you doing, sir? Good. We're getting there. We're getting there. We go on this side of the room. First row, you're in trouble right now. We're going to have a good time. We're going to dipstick the crowd. Sir, how you doing? Happy. I like happy. How you doing, sir? Very happy, sir. Let's talk to the ladies. How you doing, ma'am? Fabulous. How you doing, ma'am? Popped. Okay. You know what I'm looking for? Colonel Ali, how you doing? Great. Because that's what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about great. We can't talk about great without first talking about great leadership. And we are blessed here in UAE. We have the greatest leaders in the world. I am confident in saying that. I've worked in combat zones around the world. I've worked in countless four-star generals, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, Mohammed bin Zayed, Mohammed bin Rashid are the greatest leaders that I've seen in my entire career. I like to call them two scoops of hua. Everybody know what hua means? It means, always means yes, it always means positive. It never means negative. It means no. Hua? My guys know. Let's hear it from the crowd. Hua! We're getting there. By the end of the brief, you're going to be better, little by little. Ladies, I'm counting on you. I want to hear the loud, thunderous hua, okay? Again, we are truly blessed with our leaders. I'm going to give you a quick vignette. I was blessed to come here, work with Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. I got to tell you, Americans, men do not hold hands, period. We just don't hold hands. But I got blessed. Sheikh Mohammed said, come with me, Steve. We're going to go welcome President back. Sheikh Khalifa was landing in a lane. We landed. He said, come with me, Steve. And he took my hand. I'm holding hands with Sheikh Mohammed. And we walked the entire flight line in front of his family, holding hands. That was pretty incredible. Everybody know what oxytocin is? Oxytocin is a drug that's in your body. It's amazing. I still get chill bumps to this day thinking about the oxytocin I have from that thing 16 years ago holding Sheikh Mohammed's hand. It's an amazing feeling when you're blessed like that. And we have an amazing leader. We're going to continue talking about great because I want you to be great. Each and every day, I want you to be great. Not good. Not fine, especially the front row, our leaders here. You are great. You have to know you're great. You have to be the tip of the spear each and every day. Being good is not great. Average, at best, is good, okay? Leaders have to be great 24/7, 365, time and time again, each and every day. I looked up in the around the world. I investigated who are the greatest leaders. I talked to all the professors I can find. I talked to the #1 professor in the world. You know who that professor is? Dr. Google. Dr. Google knows everything. And Dr. Google told me there are 263 people's names associated with great not good, with great. Anybody take a wild guess who the first one would be? I'm sorry? Gotcha, okay. Anybody else? Alexander the Great, thousands of years ago. His name was actually Alexander the Great. And to this day, we have cities, roads, towns named after Alexander the Great, don't we? It's amazing to think, right? But that was a little before my time. When I was growing up, I was 16, 17 years old, guess who I thought was great? I'll give you a hint. His first name was Muhammad. I'm an American. Muhammad Ali. Thank you. You got it, didn't you? Very good. Muhammad Ali, I thought was great. You know why I thought Muhammad Ali was great? Because when I was 16 years old, what did I see on TV each and every day? It was Muhammad Ali with his size 20 hand. He went, "I'm the greatest in the world!" Right into the TV camera. And I was like, wow, this must be the greatest. He never said he was the greatest boxer in the world, did he? He would always say, "I'm the greatest in the world." I saw that day in and day out. So I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to be great? Because I didn't grow up like Muhammad Ali. I grew up here, very, very poor, in a small, small house in New Hampshire. And that circle right there, believe it or not, was a porch. I took a picture 3 years ago, still there, but they closed in the porch. That used to be an outside porch. I lived outside in New Hampshire. My sisters were on the right side of the house. They had, because they were girls, they lived inside. The boy lived outside, 10-degree weather in New Hampshire. It was cold, let me tell you. My mom, to this day, gives me a hard time. She said, "Steve, you're a very bad boy." I said, "Mom, why?" She goes, "You snuck out all the time." I said, "Mom, I was already outside." I didn't have to sneak out. I would just get on my bike and ride to Jack Fritz's house. It was great. But you have to figure out, how am I going to be great? All right? This is how I started becoming great. This is it. You have to know that you're better than everybody else, okay? Mentally. When I went to Special Operations Ranger School, guess what? I'm not the biggest guy, definitely not the tallest guy, not the strongest guy in the world. So how am I going to beat everybody else? I have to be mentally stronger than everybody else. My heart has to be bigger than everybody else's. Hooah? There you go. Hooah! There you go. You have to get that from the very beginning, okay? From the very beginning. I called to do one more push-up. So every day we did push-ups. I had to do one more push-up than everybody else. One more sit-up, one more mile, one more kilometer, each and every time. I had to get mentally stronger, knowing that I was better than everybody else. It's not a bad thing for you, sir, to think you're better than him. It's not bad at all. You should think you're better than him. It's not conceited. It's not condescending. It's a mental gymnastics. You need to know that you are better than everybody else in the room. That is what bring it to the next level. And to this day, I do an extra push-up every single time. Every single time. I do 4, actually. My beloved wife, I do 1 for her each and every time, Ofa. I do 1 for my son, 1 for my daughter, and 1 for the ranger in the sky. They can't be here today. Each and every time I do an exercise. To this day, I do it. All right? I also play another game I did. It's actually more in tune now. I said, you know what, that's good for me personally, but I want to be the best in the world. So what's the whole world do? The whole world parties on New Year's Eve, don't they? Everybody stays out late. Everybody has a good time watching the fireworks with family and friends. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, Steve, the whole world sleeps in New Year's morning, don't they? I'm going to get up at 5:30 in the morning and run 5 kilometers because I know nobody else is silly enough to do that. And that's what I did. This last New Year's, I asked my wife, 5:30 in the morning, I got up. We went to bed at 2, I think it was. And 5:30, walked outside. Everybody remember the weather here in Dubai, the early morning on the 1st? torrential rain. The rain was blowing sideways. I opened the door. My earpods flew out of my ears. I was soaking wet. 2 steps out of the door. I was like, Steve, this is silly. What am I doing? So I put my earpods in. I'm going back to bed. Turned back inside, and what happened? What song came on my earpods? Rocky. Dun, 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 dun. So I turned around, did the run. To this day, out of all the New Year's runs I've ever done, that was the best. You know why it was the best? Because it was hardest. And I knew to this day there's nobody in the world that would have ran that run. Mentally prepared. That brings me to my thing. How do you sustain your mental preparedness? Anybody know what this is? Front row. Come on. Your grandfather flew a jet engine, yes, sir? Yes, sir. His grandfather flew what kind of aircraft, sir? Thank you, sir. Aviation all around us. This is a jet engine. I want every one of you to visualize being this part right here, that tiny little piece in the middle. It's called a high-speed shaft. A high-speed shaft is producing the power on those jet engines when you fly these great Etihad aircraft, these great Emirates aircraft, these 380s that you can stand in the engines. You have a high-speed shaft in the middle of that engine producing 20,000 revolutions a minute, gripping these bleeder veins and surrounding them and producing that awesome power. That's the high-speed shaft. Leaders need to be at high-speed shaft, and you need to be at 100% all the time. Period. Parents, guess what? You have to be at 100% all the time. CEOs, you have to be at 100% all the time. Can you imagine Sheikh Mohammed coming in to a briefing after in COVID? Yeah, COVID's really bad. Yeah, oh no, it really stinks. But, what are we going to do? No, that's not what our leaders did. Our leaders said, now is our time. Now is our time. We're going to take this time right now. We're going to go to the moon. We're going to go to space. We're going to do all the environmental things. We're going to save these. We're going to save this. We're going to have the #1 economy in the world. That's what our leaders did here. They don't rest. They fly at max speed. I blessed to fly Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. When he flies, guess what speed he flies? Max speed, each and every flight. Arm full of put a collective, cyclic all the way forward, flying 162 knots everywhere he goes, max speed. You know why? Because he's a leader and he's at high speed all the time. Period. There is no rest period. All right? I give this example. I call it being great. All right? When you go to, I tell my students, when I teach my students, I said, do an experiment when you go home. Do the experiment. When you go home, how many have kids? Raise your hand, please. How many have kids? How many of you recognize your kids when you go, how was school, honey? Fine. What did you do? Nothing. Okay? Everybody heard that before? Yeah? I tell my kids to scare you guys. When they come home, I want you to go, when you go home to your parents and they say, how was school, honey? I want you to go, it was great! And watch your parents' eyes. And the first thing they're going to say is, why, honey? Why was it so good? You're being in that high-speed shaft for your parents. You are getting your parents to revolve around you as the kids. Get the parents into their vortices. Guess what the CEOs do? A CEO is going to walk into the country, to their companies, and they're going to say, guess what? We're going to set 20% next gross revenue. We're going to exceed it by 20%, and here's how we're going to do it. And you're going to get your team around you. People are going to get on your bandwagon, suck up to your vortices. That is what a high-speed shaft leader is. So remember that when you walk up into your next conference, leaders, when you go home to your kids' parents, when you walk into the next conference, leaders, be that high-speed shaft. Be that person that raises the level with everybody else. Hooah! These guys got it. Hooah! All right, you guys are getting it. All right, very good. So, what do all leaders have in common? This is one of those foot-stomping moments, teachers do sometimes. This is it. If you remember nothing else I say, please remember this. All great leaders have goals list, period. Every one of them. I'll talk a little bit later about a book called Tools of the Titans. If you want to be successful, make a goals list. Plain and simple. How many people want to be a millionaire? Raise your hand. Most of the people are millionaires. How many people want to be a billionaire? Okay. All right. How many people want to travel to another country? Exactly. Put it on your goals list. How many people want to have more kids? Put it on your goals list. How many people want to have a great vacation with their family? Put it on your goals list. How many people want their companies to grow 10%, 20% next year? Put it on your goals list. How many people want to have their kids have financial security? Put it on your goals list. It's the power of positive persuasion. It will come to fruition if you put it on your list. If you have no list, it will never come true. Every successful person in this world believes in goals lists. I do another class, we'll talk about drugs and, dopamine. Dopamine is a huge thing. Most of these great people, the professional athletes around the world, all these billionaires, they're all dopamine addicts. And they have to get their hits of dopamine. When they make $1 million, they go for 10. When then they make 20, then they make $1 billion, then they make 10 billion. You think Elon Musk was okay with 1 million? No. He wanted to be a trillionaire at some point. He keeps on raising his bar. That's what goals lists are all about. And you must continue to raise the bar. The number one thing you can do for you, your family, your business, make a goals list. This should scare you. It scares me to this day. I start shaking, okay? This is a military decision-making process. They beat this into young officers' brains. It's painful. There's blood coming out of my ears, my eyes, my nose, okay? But it gives you a good baseline, all right? I don't want you to memorize this. This is what the military teaches us, how to make one decision. Scary, but it gets down to this. That's all it is 7 steps to make a decision. Great leaders have to make decisions each and every day, don't they? Right? What do you think the most important step is? It's in yellow. Identify the problem. Identify the problem. It's your end state, okay? It's your end state. I'll give you a quick vignette here. I used to work for General McChrystal. General McChrystal, I don't know if you remember his name, but he ran special operations, ran a lot of wars, many wars for a long, long time. But I was in a special operations aviation. We had some special operations ground guys, and we had something about time-sensitive targets. We got a bad guy, we got to go find him, pick him up. It took us 2.5 hours to do that one target. And General McChrystal goes, no, faster. So we went from 2.5 hours. So we take it, okay, we're going to bring it down to 2 hours. He said, no, faster. We went to 1.5 hours. No, faster. Went to 1 hour. We got it down to 20 to 30 minutes to do a time-sensitive target in a combat zone. Hands down, did it nightly. Why? Because we had a great leader that set standards for everybody to follow. And that's what great leaders do. They helped us identify the end state of what we needed to do. Great leaders do that. Okay, but it comes down to this. Conflict resolution. This is basically the same thing as that in one simple slide. Know yourself, know others better than you know yourself. Okay? There's a book that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. It talks about knowing the other people's cultures, okay? Knowing the other people's likes, their dislikes, knowing what makes them tick. You ever heard of the contracts that are win-win? Everybody walked away from $1 billion contract. Win-win for everybody. Or it could be deciding with your wife what movie to go see, what restaurant to go see. Everybody walks away win-win, okay? The dichotomy is there. You should know how to work the other person and understand what makes them happy so they'll be happy and you'll be happy at the same time. That is the secret of making decisions and conflict resolution. But I will say, ladies, you have an edge. Ladies have an edge. Do you know why? Because ladies do this better than men. Smile. Guys, I'm sorry. When we smile, we kind of look like we're from Mars. Ladies can smile 24/7 and they're fine. All right? And guess what? A smile opens doors. Like smiles do contracts. A smile. When you go into a job interview, are you going to look like these two over here? Like this? No. You don't walk into a contract negotiation like this. What's that mean? This is the international sign for what? I'm closed. I'm not listening. All right? Say what you want. I'm not going to listen to a word you're going to say. When I go to marriages at night with His Highness, you see people sitting like this? Never, ever. You see people crossing their legs? No. What's that mean? I'm not interested. No respect. All right? Show somebody the bottom of their shoe? Never. Not respect. You have to know the culture. You have to understand conflict resolution, okay? Smiling. Would you rather hang out with Mean Rock or Happy Rock? Everybody likes Happy Rock, okay? These gentlemen know the power of a smile. They're leaders. Who? All right. That brings us to what I was talking about before. Tools of the Titans, okay? Tim Ferriss. Please feel free to take a picture of this. These are great. These books have been around for years. I found videos on tape. All these audibles are fantastic. Do it to and from. Do a book a week. It's absolutely fantastic. But Tools of the Titans. I'm talking about leadership here. You know why that's important? Tools of the Titans took about 120 great leaders. The Michael Jordans, pick a Tom Brady, billionaire Bill Gates, pick a billionaire, pick a sports hero. He said, what is the common denominator of all these leaders, all these successful people? Why? Why are they successful and nobody else is? There's many things, but two things popped out in my mind. The first one, we already talked about when I went like this. Goals lists. They all were fanatical goals list people. Every one of the successful people were goals list people. Every one of them. The other one's kind of funny, but I'll tell you. Show of hands, please. Show of hands. If you're too shy to answer, that's fine. But raise your hand, please, if you take your shower every day. Anybody take a shower? Everybody not raising their hand doesn't take a shower. Okay. Raise your hand if you brush your teeth. Everybody brush their teeth? Okay, good. Raise your hand if you sweat every day. Okay, good. Your body needs to sweat every single day. Believe it or not, all those leaders, all those type A personality successful people, they know that. You get rid of all those heavy metals, all those toxins, all those silly Diet Cokes and sweeteners we drew all the time. You get rid of it every day. Your body needs to sweat every single day. A little tidbit. Talked a little about Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Guys, the book is 100 years old. Get it on tape. Amazing book. Change your life. I think it's mandatory reading for all kids. I'll close with a couple of quotes. My guys here, they know these are some of my favorite quotes. Feel free to take pictures. Plagiarize this as much as you can. It's phenomenal. My favorite one's the top right-hand corner up there. Top left for you, I'm sorry. Never fall in love with a plan. A plan is just a start point to deviate from. But having no plan is a start point for failure. You have to have a plan. You have to have a point to deviate from at all times. All times. I'll close with a Korean officer. We talked about leadership. And one of the Korean officers said, we were talking about how you define leadership in the captain's career course. It's like 30 years ago. And the Korean captain says, treat your people like sand. I went, what? And my Korean English translation is not quite that good. Treat your people like sand. And he said, yeah, okay. You put your hands in the sand, and you lift your hands up, and your fingers are apart. Where do your people go? Through your fingers. If you put your hands in the sand, and you squeeze your people, where do your people go? Out the side. But if you put your hands in the sand, and you cup them, and you talk to them, and you know what their likes and dislikes are, and you hold them close to your heart, and you're there together with them. He said, that is leadership. That's the essence of leadership. And I said, yes, hooah! That's the leadership right there. This captain's got it. So with that, I have one final question for you. It's a test. How you doing? How you doing, sir? Great. How you doing, sir? Great. Fantastic. It's another girl. How you doing, sir? Leaders are always great. Thank you very much. You guys are 2 scoops of whore.